Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're embarking on a truly challenging and frankly heartbreaking deep dive.
hmm
It's a case that really puts a spotlight on the intense complexities of patient care.
We are, yes. We're exploring the story of Ioana Sondulescu. She was a 39-year-old medical doctor herself from Iaia in Romania,
Right.
and she was facing this incredibly tough dual battle. A long-standing autoimmune disease, lupus, and then on top of that, a new cancer diagnosis.
Wow. And her journey, it seems, through multiple hospitals, over just 7 weeks? It tragically ended in her death.
That's right. And what came after was a series of really grave accusations of medical negligence brought forward by her husband, Bogdan.
It sounds like a narrative that reveals quite a lot, not just about the human side of medicine, but also about maybe the systemic challenges within healthcare itself.
Absolutely. And for this deep dive, our sources are quite extensive. We're drawing from excerpts from Ioana's own writing, her Journal of a Life Cut Short, an accusation.
Such a poignant title.
It really is. We also have transcripts from YouTube videos her husband shared, and then a whole trove of official medical documents.
Okay.
So hospital records, a really critical medical legal expert report, and Bogdan's official criminal complaint as well.
Got it. So our mission today for you listening is to really guide you through this emotional and very intricate story. We'll highlight the key events, definitely the family's perspective, the specific accusations Bogdan made, and crucially, those objective findings from the medical expert report. Let's dive in.
Okay.
So Ioana's final health battle, it really kicked off with a critical diagnosis. Can you take us through those initial steps?
Sure. So Ioana, and remember, she's a primary laboratory doctor herself.
Right, at Central Spiridon Hospital.
Exactly. She was diagnosed with a very large ovarian tumor, about 14 by 18 centimeters on April 9th, 2023. Her cousin, who's a gynecologist, made the diagnosis.
And this was on top of her pre-existing lupus.
Yes, systemic lupus erythematosus. She'd been living with that since she was just 16. A long time.
Okay, so complex from the start. Now, Ioana initially wanted her surgery where she worked, at Central Spiridon, right?
That was her preference, yes. But interestingly, a colleague, a Dr. Lunca Carmen, apparently persuaded her to go to the Regional Institute of Oncology, the IRO, instead.
Oh, why was that?
Well, it turns out Dr. Carmen's brother-in-law, a Dr. Lunca Sornell, worked there, and he was the one who would perform the operation.
Ah, okay, that connection.
Seems like it. So on April 19th, Ioana was admitted to IRO, and the very next day, April 20th, she underwent this quite long 6-hour hysterectomy, total anesthesia. Dr. Lunca Sornell performed it.
6 hours is significant.
It is. And Bogdan, her husband, later alleged this surgery happened, in his words, much too early.
Too early? What did he mean by that?
He asserted it was done without a necessary medical letter from Parhan Hospital. That's where she was treated for her lupus.
Okay, so no coordination there.
Apparently not, according to Bogdan. And also, crucially, he said there was no multidisciplinary commission beforehand to really assess her complex health profile, lupus plus cancer, before such a major operation.
Right, that seems like a vital step missed, especially with her history. Okay, so she has this massive surgery, but then things started to go sideways after she left the hospital.
That's where things get really complicated, yes. Ioana was discharged from IRO on May 2nd.
Okay.
But just 2 days later, May 4th, she developed a fever, 38 degrees Celsius. She contacted Dr. Valencic Natalia.
Who is described as Dr. Lunca Sornell's right hand?
Exactly, kind of his key associate.
So she goes back to IRO.
She did, on May 5th, just for a day admission. But she was told, everything was fine, sent home again.
But the fever didn't stop.
No, it persisted. By May 9th, it climbed to 39.5 degrees Celsius. Pretty high. And she had a severe headache, chills. So she returned to IRO again on May 10th, this time for a full hospitalization.
Okay, back in the hospital. What happened during that stay?
Well, during this admission, she started experiencing loose stools. And on May 14th, apparently Bogdan ran into another doctor, Dr. Dragos Skripkariou, just by chance.
Whoa.
And at his suggestion, Ioana requested a test for Clostridium difficile, C. diff.
Oh.
It came back positive, so that led to prescriptions for metronidazole and vancomycin.
Right, standard C. diff treatment. But there was something unusual about the vancomycin, wasn't there?
Yes, this is a really concerning detail Bogdan highlighted. The vancomycin was apparently given as an injectable solution, but administered orally.
Orally, injectable solution, how does that work?
Well, Ioana apparently described it as extremely bitter, and it caused her to vomit repeatedly. Just couldn't keep it down.
That sounds awful.
Yeah. And Bogdan later found out that an oral pill form actually existed. He ended up having to buy it himself.
He had to buy it
That's
himself.
what he claims. He also said his repeated attempts to just talk to the surgeon, Dr. Lunkas Soronel, or even get his phone number for post-op discussions were just refused, flat out.
Wow. Okay, so communication breakdown, medication issues, and then they decided to discharge her again.
Unbelievably, yes. On May 15th, Ioana was told she'd be discharged. The reason given was that her surgical recovery was, quote, fine.
Fine, despite the ongoing fever
Yeah.
and dehydration and the C. diff.
Exactly. Despite all of that, Bogdan was, understandably, alarmed. He immediately went to IRO and submitted a formal written objection. We even have the date and time from the source material, May 15th, 2023, at 9:31 a.m.
Good for him for documenting it.
Absolutely. He stated his categorical opposition to her discharge until her condition actually improved.
Did anyone else intervene?
Yes, another doctor, a Dr. Patrice Sianga from Smith Spearman Hospital who knew Ioana, he actually stepped in.
Oh, good.
He contacted both Dr. Lunka Soronol at IRO and Dr. Adrian Kovic, who managed her lupus at Parthon Hospital, trying to facilitate a transfer to Parthon. The thinking was maybe it was a lupus flare-up causing the persistent fever.
Okay, so transfer was being discussed. Now, what did the medical expert report say about this whole period at IRO, especially the discharge decision?
Well, the report definitely highlighted several deficiencies during that IRO stay.
Like what?
Issues with the documentation, the delayed diagnosis and treatment of the C. diff, that incorrect oral administration method for vancomycin we talked about,
Right.
and just a general lack of proper fever management. But critically, the report explicitly concluded that discharging Ioana with a hemoglobin level of 6,
Hemoglobin of 6, that's incredibly low.
extremely low. Normal is usually, above 12 for women. A level of 6 indicates severe anemia. The report called discharging her in that state a serious error.
Serious error. Okay, so despite Bogdan's objection, she is transferred, but not necessarily because they listened, maybe more because of Dr. Sianga's intervention.
It seems likely the intervention helped facilitate the move. So on May 15th, the same day Bogdan objected, Ioana was transferred to CI Parhan Hospital.
The hospital that treated her lupus.
Right, specifically to the infectious diseases section, though, and still with that dangerously low hemoglobin of 6.
What was the reaction there?
Bogdan noted the doctors at Parthon were surprised, sort of questioning aloud how IRO could possibly have discharged her in such a state.
Validation for Bogdan, I suppose, but terrifying for Ioana, who treated her at Parfar.
She was mainly treated by Dr. Nastas Andra. Dr. Adrian Kovic, her long-standing lupus doctor, was also involved. They continued the C. diff treatment.
Okay. Did things improve there?
Unfortunately, no. New complications popped up. She developed fluid in her lungs and pleura, the lining around the lungs.
Oh, dear.
And she needed albumin, a type of protein, critically low levels. But the hospital apparently didn't have it in stock.
So Bogdan had to buy it again?
That's what he recounts, yes. He bought the albumin himself, and he noted it was administered while Ioana was still running a fever, which raised concerns for him.
Were the communication issues any better at Parthon?
Doesn't sound like it, based on Bogdan's account. He says Dr. Nastas Andra couldn't reach Dr. Lunka Soronel, the original surgeon, for a consultation.
Still no contact.
Apparently not. And he also claims Dr. Adrian Kovic, her lupus doctor, refused to engage in interclinic communication or even contact a pneumologist Bogdan recommended, a Dr. Radu Krisandabija, about the lung fluid.
That seems counterintuitive for managing a complex patient. How are they managing the fever then?
Just injectable algocalmin, according to Bogdan. That was the only thing being done for the fever. And then on May 24th, skin eruptions appeared and also went untreated.
This just sounds like one thing after another. Did the C. diff ever clear up?
By June 1st, her C. diff test finally came back negative for the first time.
Okay, some good news.
You'd think. But Bogdan claims the treatment was stopped immediately, even though standard practice often involves continuing it for a bit longer to prevent relapse.
Right.
And then Dr. Nastas Andra suggested discharging Ioana again.
Discharging her again with ongoing issues.
Yes. The implication, according to Bogdan, was that the hospital couldn't do much more, and maybe being home would improve her spirits.
How did Bogdan react to that?
He expressed deep concern, particularly about the fever recurring. He says he was assured she'd be readmitted if it happened. He also observed she was quite disoriented, likely from medication, and had severe breathing difficulties to remember the lung fluid. But no specific measures were taken for that breathing issue before discharge.
So another discharge, despite serious concerns.
Mm.
What did the expert report say about Parhan's care?
Similar themes, unfortunately. Deficiencies again,
Mm-hmm.
issues with documentation, inadequate management of that pleural fluid, a lack of collaboration with other specialists.
Like the pneumologist Bogdan suggested.
Exactly. And administering albumin while she had a fever was noted. And again, critically, the report deemed her discharge while she still had a persistent fever and residual C. diff symptoms, even if the test was negative that day, another serious error.
2 hospitals, 2 discharges flagged as serious errors by the medical experts. Okay, let's unpack this. After being discharged from Parthon, her condition worsened rapidly at home, right? Leading to a 3rd hospital.
That's correct. On June 3rd, she was discharged from Parhon. Bogdan says her fever and the C. diff symptoms came right back almost immediately upon returning home.
Did he try to get her readmitted as promised?
He contacted Dr. Naste Sandra, but according to him, she refused readmission to Parhon. Instead, she suggested trying an oncology section somewhere.
So, not back to infectious diseases. Bogdan must have been frantic.
You can only imagine. He then took Ioana to a 3rd hospital, the Sfânta Cuviosa Parasheva Infectious Diseases Hospital, on June 5th.
And her condition?
Her hemoglobin was critically low again, still 6, just hadn't recovered.
Unbelievable. Who treated her there?
She was under the care of Dr. Mancia Carmen and Dr. Egidia Miftode.
Okay, what happened at this 3rd hospital? Any change in approach?
Well, regarding the fluid in her lungs, at Bogdan's persistent requests, they did perform 2 pleural punctures.
Did that help?
They extracted a significant amount of fluid, 700 milliliters the first time, then 900 milliliters. So yes, a lot of fluid that had built up seemingly from her time at Parhon.
That must have provided some relief, hopefully.
Perhaps temporarily. But Bogdan observed other worrying signs. He mentioned her wedding ring was now extremely loose on her finger.
Oh, wow.
A really stark visual sign of severe weight loss, but also generalized edema, swelling, what's medically termed anasarca.
Anasarca, that sounds serious.
It is. It indicates widespread fluid retention, often linked to critical illness or organ dysfunction. And Bogdan also claimed that doctors often just observed her from the doorway with very minimal physical examinations.
From the doorway, that sounds dismissive or maybe fearful of infection.
It's hard to say the reason, but that was his perception. And the fever, still only treated with algocalmin. Her severe breathing difficulties also persisted.
So, minimal intervention despite these alarming signs. Things were clearly deteriorating.
Rapidly. By June 11th, Bogdan, seeing how bad things were, contacted Dr. Dan Timofte from Svanchel Spiridon Hospital, remember, Ioana's workplace.
Yes.
Dr. Tompost immediately recognized the severity and suggested transferring Ioana to the intensive care unit, the ATI.
Finally, someone suggesting ICU.
Yes. Dr. Timofte then actually called Dr. Egidia Miftode at the Infectious Diseases Hospital, urging her to see Ioana urgently.
Did she?
According to Bogdan's account, Dr. Miftode allegedly just observed Ioana from the doorway again and then called in some ATI residents rather than initiating an immediate senior review or transfer herself.
So, a potential delay even when ICU was recommended. What did the expert report find about this 3rd hospital stay?
Again, documentation deficiencies were noted, but crucially, the report stated there was no prompt transfer to ATI, despite Ioana's severe condition, and it also flagged that her fever was still not adequately treated.
No prompt transfer to ICU. That seems critical. So, what does this all mean? Ioana's journey ends, tragically, back in the hospital where she worked.
Yes. On June 12th, she was finally transferred to the intensive care unit, the ATI, at Svanchel Spiridon Hospital, her former workplace.
What was it like there?
Bogdan said her colleagues there did everything they possibly could to try and keep her alive. A real sense of urgency, finally.
But it was too late.
Tragically, yes. Ioana Zândulescu passed away on June 16th. She was just 39 years old. It was only a week after her birthday on June 9th.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. And the official cause of death?
Anasarca. That severe, generalized body swelling we mentioned, indicating the underlying critical state, likely from overwhelming infection or organ failure fueled by everything she'd been through.
Just devastating. And the aftermath. Bogdan didn't stay silent, did he?
No, absolutely not. He made his pain and his accusations very public, posts on Facebook, YouTube videos, really articulating his grief and directly pointing fingers at the medical system.
Did he use Ioana's own words too, from her journal?
He did. He shared passages written as if from her perspective, incredibly powerful and painful lines, stating she felt she was, quote, killed by doctors, friends, relatives, people who did nothing, were not interested. kept silent.
He condemned what he saw as superficiality, mediocrity, neglect, ignorance, disinterest, and silence that he believed led to her death. He even mentioned creating an online file with all her medical data, hoping someone could help, but felt like, quote, no one took responsibility.
This raises such an important question about responsibility, and he didn't stop at public statements, right? He took legal action.
He did. Bogdan filed a formal criminal complaint with the prosecutor's office in II. The charge was negligent homicide, citing a specific article, 192 paragraph 2 of the Penal Code.
Against specific doctors?
Yes, against doctors from all three hospitals, Dr. Lunka Sornel and Dr. Valencic Natalia from IRO.
The surgeon and his associate.
Right. Then Dr. Nastasiandra and Dr. Adrian Kovic from Parthon.
The infectious disease and lupus doctors?
And Dr. Mancia Carmen and Dr. Egidia Miftode from the Infectious Diseases Hospital.
So targeting key figures at each stage, did he raise any other concerns in the complaint?
Yes, a very serious one. He alleged that medical documents from the Infectious Diseases Hospital, the third one, might have been modified after Ioana's death.
Modified? How?
He cited things like different pen types used on the files, whiteout corrections, things that looked suspicious to him. He requested a formal expert examination of the original documents.
That's a huge allegation. Are the authorities investigating?
Yes, the IA County Police Inspectorate has initiated its own checks, and the prosecutor's office is officially involved investigating the complaint.
Okay, so with these heavy accusations flying, we come back to that medical legal expert report. It seems crucial. What was its overall conclusion?
It really is central here. And its conclusion is, well, nuanced, which is fascinating in itself.
How so?
Well, the report concluded that there was, and this is the key phrase, no direct causal link found between any specific medical error or individual doctor's conduct and Ioana's death.
No direct link.
It absolutely did identify significant deficiencies in her care.
Right. So no smoking gun pointing to one single act causing her death, but lots of problems along the way.
Exactly. The report pointed to issues with documentation and patient management across all three hospitals involved. So while it didn't attribute her death directly to specific negligence, it definitely highlighted systemic shortcomings.
Can you recap the specific deficiencies the report mentioned for each hospital again?
Sure. For IRO, the first hospital is the documentation issues, the delayed and inadequate C. diff treatment, and that critical error of discharging her with a hemoglobin of 6.
Okay.
For Parthon, the second hospital, it flagged the inadequate management of the pleural fluid, the lack of collaboration with specialists, and again, discharging her despite ongoing fever and C. diff symptoms, another serious error.
Right.
And at the third place, the Infectious Diseases Hospital, more documentation issues, inadequate fever treatment, and critically, that lack of a prompt transfer to ATI, the intensive care unit, despite her obviously severe condition.
It paints a picture of systemic issues rather than just one isolated mistake.
This raises an important question then. What does this whole deep dive, this complex and tragic story, really mean for you, the listener? Whether you work in healthcare, are a patient yourself, or just trying to navigate this kind of complex information.
I think this case really underscores powerfully the vital importance of effective communication between different medical disciplines, especially, for patients like Ioana with complex coexisting conditions. Lupus and cancer is a major challenge.
Communication seems to be a recurring failure point here.
Absolutely. It also highlights the crucial and sometimes incredibly difficult and draining role of patient and family advocacy. Bogdan fought so hard.
He really did.
And it shows the devastating consequences when perceived systemic failures just erode trust completely, leading to these tragic outcomes and the subsequent search for accountability. It really pushes us, doesn't it, to think beyond just individual blame.
And consider the broader responsibilities within a healthcare system that might be struggling, with resources, coordination, communication.
Yeah.
All of it.
So what does this all mean in the end? Ioana's story, it's such a stark reminder, isn't it, of that fragile balance in healthcare. Here's a doctor herself battling illness, navigating a system her husband ended up describing as rotten, and ultimately she succumbed. It just leaves us with these profound, difficult questions about responsibility, about the limits of what medical care can achieve, especially within flawed systems, and about that relentless, understandable pursuit of justice when things go so terribly wrong.
It really does. And until we meet again for our next deep dive, maybe consider this. In a world that's just inundated with information, with complex systems like healthcare, how do we actually ensure that genuine human compassion and just diligent, careful attention to detail truly prevail,
Yeah.
especially when the stakes are literally life and death? And how do we navigate accountability when, like in this expert report, a direct causal link is hard to pinpoint, even amidst so many clear deficiencies?